Hey everybody, welcome to Lemon's World. We are going to talk about the $50,000 purse for winning a 24 Hours of Lemons race. There's a little catch. You have to do it in an EV, an all-electric vehicle, no gas motor, no hybrid, just a pure electric. Now, why are we doing this? Well, a couple of reasons. One, I actually love electric cars. That's not something I can say very loudly in a lot of crowds. I drive a Tesla P90D used car. It's fantastic. It is the best car I've ever owned. P90D, the first choice in used cars for the sporty douchebag. These things are quiet, they're fast, they're interesting. Stuff happens that's new. When was the last time that happened in the ICE world? We want to keep pushing that lineup. So, what does that mean right now?
Well, right now, as Jay mentioned, we've only had a couple of EVs in Lemons, and so today we're going to talk a little bit about the best one, the Jet Electrica.
Best is a very relative term here.
Yeah, it's definitely a relative term. We've literally had two pure EVs, and this was the other one.
Yeah, conversely, the Jet Electrica 007, that was a works-built factory EV.
Yeah, during the 70s and early 80s, the era of oil embargoes, gas shortages, there were millions of incentives for electric car manufacturing. Jet Industries, who made electric warehouse vans, they saw the opportunity to get into streetcars. They bought a whole bunch of complete Ford Escorts and Dodge Omni TC3s without engines, and they modified them with braced and stiffer rear suspensions, a whole bunch of golf cart batteries, an EV1 controller, and a 23 horsepower electric forklift motor. This was good for something like a 55 mile an hour top speed if you were going downhill with a tailwind, and maybe a 50 mile range if you were going about 12 miles an hour average. They were as awful as you would expect.
So basically just like a regular Horizon TC3.
Well, yes.
So now that on its own is probably not going to win the Lemons EV $50,000 prize. Well, no. However, that did not discourage Team Duff Beer from giving it a try.
Yeah, Duff Beer as a team has had plenty of lemon success, so they were ready for something different.
Which kind of actually illustrates the point. There are a lot of different ways to do lemons. You can try to win, or you can try to do this.
Amazingly, they found a original factory Jet Electrica. This was one of the ones based on the Plymouth Horizon TC3, as opposed to the one based on the Ford Escort. Let's be honest, the Horizon TC3 is by far the best Jet Electrica.
Yeah, so for their first race, they just left the original forklift motor and the original hoopty-ass controller and the original 4-speed Volkswagen transaxle, because apparently Chrysler, and they just brought it out to race.
Yeah, the only thing that they did was replace the 25 or so OEM golf cart batteries with 11 deep cycle marine batteries. Aside from the batteries, all they did was replace the brakes, the bearings, and the rear shocks.
Yeah, it was incredibly slow, but it did work, and in fact, it kept working for quite a while, right up until smoke started pouring out of the motor, which we all thought, well, that's the end of that. But in fact, it was just because the mouse nest that had been built in the motor finally got hot enough to burst into flames.
Yeah, and to be fair to the mouse, an EV-converted Plymouth Horizon is a good place to build a nest. I mean, what's it going to do? Move? In addition to being slow, the driving range was exceedingly bad. It would do a couple of laps at most at CMP, which is not one of the longer tracks we go to. So how do they recharge this thing?
Well, the way that they figured it out is, for starters, they would pull in after 3 or 4 laps or whatever it was. I mean, they honk. And then they would lift every single battery out and drop it on the ground while they were recharging other batteries and lift those back in and put that back in the car and then tighten up all the little things and then send the car back out. It was very sophisticated.
Yeah, and their charging rig for these individual batteries were a whole bunch of chargers that they had bought online and modified. They were originally intended for a Chinese crop dusting drone. And that was hoopty enough as it was, and that's not even counting the fire ants.
Yeah, the fire ants were great. So we didn't know this, but apparently fire ants are attracted to electrical fields. Well, they had a whole lot of electrical fields going on. One guy, he takes his Nomex racing jacket and he puts it down in one place. He's about ready to get in the car. They finish charging it. They just connect the batteries, puts on his racing suit. Ah! Fire ants! Fire ants! Fire ants! Fire ants! Fire ants! Fire ants! Ah! Fire ants! Fire ants!
The hell is this? Fire ants! So after that experience, the team decided it was time for an upgrade. They moved to a Curtis controller, an 88 horsepower brushless AC motor, and used Chevy Volt lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah, so they really started working the problem, and that is the whole reason that we've got the $50,000 prize. We're trying to inspire people to work this problem, and it's a solvable problem. So what did they do? Well, first, they took these new Chevy Volt batteries, they put them into a custom frame. That frame slips into the car, and when they have used up that energy, they hot swap with another set of batteries in its own custom frame. They pull it out with a hose, drop it in, and then they can recharge the other batteries while the car's racing. Brilliant, right? They went to run it on a Lemons rally, so they said, well, let's try something different. They put an auxiliary power unit on board, and that was able to recharge the batteries.
That was a Harbor Freight generator, I believe.
Oh, well, they're all Harbor Freight generators. That's what Tesla uses. Speaking of Tesla, they even did a little adapter so that they can fool a Tesla supercharger, they think, into charging this car. And the ultimate configuration off of the racetrack, they had 2 battery packs, one on either end of the car, and they towed an APU on a trailer. They set that up because they wanted to go to a Concours Lemons, and it was way the hell far away. They succeeded on all of these things.
So this current iteration of the Jet Electrica Lemons car is way better than the OEM Jet Electrica, even though it's still the slowest car on the Lemons track by a fair margin.
Yeah, it is the slowest car on the Lemons track, but they are able to take advantage of certain loopholes. For example, at CMP, it used to be there was a 1-hour quiet time in the middle of the day Sunday so that everybody at the church next door, could actually pray and stuff like that and confess and handle snakes and do whatever they do at the church next to CMP. Well, that only applies to cars that make noise, and this car didn't make noise. So for 1 hour, this car was able to keep circulating and gathering laps when everybody else had to be quiet. Admittedly, this all seems somewhat crude, and we really love that Duff Beer is doing it, and they are working really hard, but this is not like a Tesla Model S or a Model 3 performance. You can actually win a Lemons race on this thing. It's doable. It could be you. Probably won't be you, but it could be you. 50 grand is just waiting. Let's see it.
Thanks for watching Lemons World.
Don't forget to subscribe.